Hey everybody, it's Angela, and as you can see, I was out picking some almonds, and I decided that I would go ahead and draw them in my nature journal. And so I've kind of done a rough sketch, and I did pick these a few days before I did the drawing. And so I had reference photos that I was working from of the fresh branches and things that I had picked. I also had some of the almonds there at my desk with me, but I like to take photos because, you know, you don't always have time to do your drawing right when you're out looking at the natural things, and you bring some of the natural things back and they may not stay as fresh as you would like to draw them. So that way I have not only the actual item but a picture of it when it was fresh as well to work from. So I just went ahead and I drew it in a couple different forms on here. And this first form is with it still green in the hull that as it comes off the tree. And usually when they're ripe, the hulls start splitting open and it makes it easy to get the almonds out. I like to kind of pick them right at that time before they fall on the ground, just because I only have 2 trees and I don't want the blue jays to get all of them, because once they split open, the blue jays will take them from out of the hull and hide them all over and you won't get any. So I just go ahead and pick a bunch of them, and I like to hull them and dry them. So as you can see here, I'm just doing this with my Prismacolor colored pencils, and I'm going in with some greens, yellows, and browns for this hull. And the hull has kind of got a little bit of a fuzzy texture to it, and it also has resin that sometimes exudes out of the hull. It's kind of sticky and everything. So I have a representation of that as well on there underneath my hand. I've just done a rough sketch of another one of these hulls with the sticky resin on it. And one of the things I did on the leaves before I draw them was I took my stylus and I impressed the lines of the veins of the leaf into the paper. That way they stay nice and light colored, because the veins on the almond leaf are actually light colored. They're not a dark colored vein. And so I wanted to not lose those highlights when I did the leaf, and you'll see that here in a second. For this one, I'm just using this white pencil here to kind of be my highlighted area, since it is kind of a fuzzy texture. I didn't want it to be a really bright highlight. You know, usually the bright highlights are on something that's more of a shiny texture. And since this is fuzzy, I didn't have to, you know, have quite as bright of a highlight. And so I'm going in now with some dark browns to do the shadowed area, and I'm liking that. So I'm going up here, I'm going to put in a kind of a wash of my lighter color. It's kind of an underlayment, and you can't see really well yet that I have impressed those veins, but you will here as soon as I start with this darker color. And there you can see how those veins are starting to show as I drag that darker color over the top of those kind of debossed areas. The lead won't go into those areas and they'll stay white. So that's a great way to keep those intricate, brighter highlights that you want to save and not lose as you're drawing. And so I'm just going in, this is kind of my medium, and then I have a darker green, and I'm using all of those to kind of give some shape and depth. And it was a beautiful day. It was pretty hot outside, so the dogs wanted to stay under the trees, or they would go and play in the creek and stuff, but they did kind of hang out with me as I picked almonds and bored them to death. So here we go. I do this other leaf here, and I'm really liking how it's looking. And again, I'm using my reference photo for this, since the specimen I had on my desk, the leaves had since kind of dried up. So, and then I'm going to do the same with these other leaves here, and there I am. I'm embossing the veins into the leaf first with this stylus, and then I will go ahead and add my color. And as you can see, while I still have my green pencils out, I went ahead and did that open shell that's empty where the almond has already come out. And now I'm going to do this last one where it's cracked open and the almond is still inside, but you can see it. And in this, I didn't put any cast shadows of those ones that were kind of sitting split open. And later I decided to, so when you see the still shots at the end, there will be a bit of a cast shadow underneath these two items that I don't show here. The ones on the branches I left without cast shadows, since it's kind of like maybe they're still hanging on the tree or something like that. But at first I wasn't going to do any cast shadows, and then I decided to. So now I'm going in with some of the more yellows and browns for the actual nut itself, and for the edge of the hull where it's split open. And I really love picking these. I dry them in the sun at first, and then I crack them open and I'll kind of toast them, and then I'll use some and freeze some for later. I do that with our hazelnuts and our walnuts as well. I get some of them in. The walnuts are next. I haven't done them yet this year. They're still pretty green on the tree. So I will do those, and that way I have a variety of nuts in the freezer to use for baking and cooking. I love to throw them into salads and stir fries and quick breads and stuff like that. And I also like to put it when I do things with my dried fruit. I dry figs and things in the dehydrator, cherries and apple slices and stuff like that. So the nuts always go well with that. You can make a trail mix or a snack really quickly, or you can put them on a cold plate as one of the items that you have on there. So it works really well to have those. And so now I'm going in there. I pretty much got the almond part done on this, and I'm going to do the top of the shell. And we only have 2 almond trees. We have about 4 or so of the hazelnut trees, and then we have about 7 to 10 walnut trees. And those are all the different nuts. We will be getting some pistachio trees here soon, but we also have like over 100 apple trees of varying varieties. We have cherry trees, plums, Asian pears, figs, you name it, and we try to grow it. So I love being able to pick and spend time in the orchard and be able to dry and freeze these items for later. It really helps with the grocery budget these days. Okay, so this is my finished drawing. I'm just going to put a little bit of stamping saying that it's almonds. I also have a tree stamp that has a different tree silhouette, so I pick one that vaguely resembles an almond tree. And then I also put the date on there and do some journaling. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions or anything on this, please let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.